Well, hello and welcome to Orient Live. Now it's Christmas time, and sometimes there's a bit of squad rotation, and that's exactly what we've done here at Orient Live. I'm Andrew Butler, joined though by Glenn Wilkie and Brendan Pitcher. Ollie not here at the moment, but we'll work with the squad rotation. And talking of squad rotation, there's been a few things happening in the news this week. So have a look at the Orient team as we play Tranmere up at Prenton Park, because there's a few changes, let's say. If we can have a look at the team ahead of today's game. Lawrence Vigouroux does start in goal. Connor Wood will be playing at left wing back. Dan Happy, Adam Thompson and Shadrach Oji will playing in the centre-back roles. With Jaden Sweeney, it looks like, a right wing back. Ahead of him will be the Matt Young and Craig Clay. And then ahead of them, Dan Kemp, and fortunately Aaron Drinan and Harry Smith will be playing up top with them. So it's an interesting look at the game. I suppose we should also point out the fact that our substitutes bench also includes Reece Byrne, Paul Smith, Ruel Satiru and Anthony Papadopoulos. Only 4 substitutes named on our bench for the O's this afternoon up at Tranmere, and we'll be playing away at Prenton Park. As I said, I'm joined by Brendan Pitcher and Glenn Wilkie. Now, Glenn, I'll start with you. I would say it's going to be unfamiliar territory, but we have been in this sort of situation before. I dare say, a year ago. But this one will be another interesting game on our hands, I think.
Tough is another word for interesting in my book. It's going to be tough. There's been changes, obviously injuries, suspensions, and players out of the squad, so it will be tough. Tranmere are on a good run of form at home at the moment. They've won their last 3, I believe, so it will be tough. It'll just be interesting. I know when you read out the team news there, you said 3 at the back and the 2 wing backs. We're not sure yet, are we, of the way they're going to line up. Not sure if it's going to be a flat back 4 or they will go with a 3 centre halves and the 2 wing backs. So it'd be interesting to see how they set up today. Yeah,
Brendan, we've got Jaden Sweeney starting, Matt Young also starting, Connor Wood coming in as well. It's quite unfamiliar. Not entirely unfamiliar though, because we've got Drinan, Smith and Kemp up front, which could be the key.
Yeah, look, it is a bit makeshift at the back there, but you've got to can't go into it with a negative mindset because else you're already beat. I think Kenny and the coaching staff will be looking to kind of instill a bit of kind of siege mentality here, because it looks like there's been a few players out and it's a threadbare squad, as you can see, but you can't let that get you. The game's going ahead. We've got enough players to play the game, and we've got to make the most of it. And like you say, with that midfield and with those strikers, it is almost kind of our regular line up there with people like Craig Clay and Dan Kemp and Aaron Drinan and Harry Smith, and they're players they're the senior players today, and a lot of responsibility is going to be on them, but I think they'll be up to it. They're good characters.
Yeah, I should say that we've got the suspension of Darren Pratley, Hector Cipriani still injured, Tom James injured as well, and then there has been a couple of COVID related absences as well in our team today. But Glenn, looking at this, looking at this team, I suppose we're saying that it's thrown together, but there is real room for improvement after last weekend's disappointment against Crawley Town. For me, it was probably the worst performance of the season, but it means that we want to improve, and we've got the opportunity to do so against the team that we beat 4-0 only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because we have played them recently and we've beat them 4-0 convincingly in the FA Cup. There's sort of that feel that, it's an easier game. Okay, we've got the players out. The big thing for me today is the players want to bounce back from last week's result, because it was poor. It wasn't our usual standard, and the players will be bitterly disappointed with how they performed. The big thing for me today is our 2 wing backs missing. Over the last few weeks when we've done really well with both of them out, and that's why I said, will we play with a 4 at the back and change the system up, or will Wood go on the left and will Sweeney go on the right as wing backs? We don't know. I'm really looking forward to see how we set up, but I think we've got our front 3 who you just said, Brendan, that they do score goals and they create chances, but most of our chances come from those wider areas, and it will be tough to see how we can get the ball forward and play play without them wing backs.
Yeah, and you mentioned about whether we don't know how we're going to line up just yet. I suspect I've got a feeling it might be the similar 3-5-2 kind of formation, and I think that is maybe the right thing to do, because we switched it up after Tom James went off against Crawley, and it did disrupt us a little bit. And you talk about people like Alex Mitchell and Shad Oji who are playing as kind of makeshift fullbacks in that role, and when you play that without kind of natural fullbacks and we try and get it out to wing backs and cross, it can disrupt us, because we've got such a set style of play, and it seems like you can put players in there that will fit the role, and hopefully that's where you get the success, because I think we really kind of struggled in that period where we played a 4 at the back against Crawley with makeshift fullbacks. I think the wing backs would be the right way to go, because of how used to the system and how well drilled into it they are.
That's a sensible option, of course. However, we don't know how much time the players have had to train this week together. Obviously, Sweeney's come back from, where was he, Wildston. So we don't know how much time they've had to train together. Now, for me, it's, do we look at it and say, yeah, we have got a depleted team or squad? Do we sort of shut up shop a bit and don't play the normal way and so make ourselves hard to beat, like teams do when they come to the Brower Group Stadium? You know, they come, shut up shop and try and hit us on the break or try and get a goal from a set piece. Do we go and do that to Tranmere today and hopefully we'll score from a set piece or keep it tight? Or do we say, right, okay, we've got players coming in, we're going to play our same formation as we've done for the majority of the season and try and attack teams? I think that might be slightly naive to do that. Me personally, I would shut up shop and just try and hit them on the break, and worst case scenario, you come away with a point.
Well, if Kenny Jackett needs any motivation to show to the players, either this morning or on the way up to Tranmere, let's remind ourselves of how we performed against them a couple of weeks ago in the FA Cup, because it was something of a hammering.
And also, before you go away, Craig, as many of you will know, Craig is now playing his 200th game for Leyton Orient tonight. So, to present him with a shirt, Chairman Mr. Nigel Travis.
Well done.
Well done.
The thing about Orient this season that we've scored 4 goals at home so often that we occasionally do get mixed up with some of our brilliant performances here. That was the home win against Swindon from a couple of weeks ago, in which we won 4-1. We were hoping to bring you highlights from our 4-0 win against Tranmere. We did beat Tranmere 4-0 away though in 2013, and we do have those highlights to show you as well this afternoon.
Leyton Orient have been fantastic this season and look to make it 12 games unbeaten in League One. They visit a Tranmere side who have the worst home record this campaign, just 2 points from 5 home matches so far. This is James into the area. James is delivering and into the net he goes, and the league leaders take the lead. Kevin Lisby on 22 minutes. Lisby's 10th goal of the season. Delivery played in, dangerous one! What a chance that is, and Jones forced to make the save. Here comes Tranmere again. This is Kirby, and Kirby's in. Kirby still. Just his final touch let him down. Delivery played in, glancing header, and it's up the post. And Tranmere survive. And Lisby! just reacting, and reacting well to putting the ball in the net, and Kevin Lisby has his and Leyton Orient's second goal of the afternoon. Let's go up, Angel there as well, taken over by Vansilart. Oh, Goodison's challenge. And this hasn't gone down very well with Leyton Orient players. It wasn't a great challenge. It's a red card for Ian Goodison. It's surely going to be a penalty. Ian Goodison, Tranmere's experienced defender, with a really reckless challenge. And his afternoon is over with. Very quick to award the red card was Richard Clark, our referee. It's Mooney. He's hit the post, in it goes, but this isn't going to count, is it? As no other player has touched the ball after Mooney's original strike. It means this cannot be given. Well, that was a challenge right on the edge of the area. Dangerous position. Really try and get on with it quickly, Leyton Orient maybe. Cox is going to go for goal, deflected. Cox is three. 3 goals, 3 points, Leyton Orient. 12 games unbeaten, it looks like it's going to be. We're in again here. It's another one. Sean Batt getting in on the act with 5 minutes left. Leyton Orient scoring 4. Incredibly, it is their 31st goal of the season in the league. It's all over. Leyton Orient just keep on winning. A 10th win this season, and winners by 4 goals to 0.
Some great memories there from Prenton Park, and hopefully to replicate some of them this afternoon. But we wait and see. The Tranmere team today is as follows. They will be lining up against the O's with Ross Doohan in goal, Josh Dacre, Cogley, Tom Davis and Peter Clark, Callum MacDonald, Kieran Morris, Jay Spearing, Leo Connor, Josh Hawkes, Elliot Nevitt, Charlie Jolly, and then on the bench, Joe Murphy, Joe Maguire, Chris Morris, Chris Merry. Oh, I've been watching 4 Lions recently. Mark Duffy, Ryan Watson, Liam Feeney, and Nicky Maynard. Now, Brendan, I'll come to you on Tranmere. 8th in the table, Orient and 9th. Tranmere's goal difference only +3, is it? And whilst Orient's is +17. They've kind of been slowly going about their business, haven't they?
Yeah, they're a side that obviously not like us, where we blow it hot and cold a little bit. We either batter teams or we don't get anything at all. They're very kind of steady. They pick up draws. They don't concede many goals. But they don't score many either, as that goal difference stat shows. But they've got Mickey Mellon, who is a really good operator at this level. He's really experienced. He's got them out of this division before. And they've got a fairly decent squad. So they're going to be a side that are always going to be there and thereabouts. And they're one that they're going to be feared today, to be honest. They've got a pretty strong squad out there compared to some of our depleted names we've got.
I mean, it looks like, even being able to name 7 subs, Glenn, I wouldn't have thought even 2 weeks ago that would be a privilege. But they can name 7 subs and we can only name 4, and they've only made 1 change from the team from their previous outing as well, which you have to feel might play to their favour today.
Yeah, they are, like Brendan says, they keep it tight. They don't concede many goals, but they don't score bundles of goals either. So on that basis, it should be a tight game, I would have thought, but then we don't know how we're going to set up. So I think for us, against Tranmere, they're going to be favourites for the game at home. I think the longer we leave, we can keep it sort of 0-0 or level. The crowd hopefully will get on the other team's back and it'll play into our hands a bit. And I just think we've got goals in the side. We know the front three. We can score from set pieces. As long as we try and keep it steady at the back, don't make any silly mistakes, keep it steady and maybe go and hit a goal on the break or from a set piece. I think we could do that. But Tranmere are going to be tough opposition, especially with their bench their full bench.
Yeah, their full bench. I know, what a privilege, as I said. Brendan, coming back to you as well on Mickey Mellon as well. He kind of came over under a bit of criticism as he has in the past, but they've been kind of quietly going about their business, and now heading up to 8th in the table as well. We're 9th, and they're kind of gone slightly under the radar. But a win for them, Tranmere today, will put them right in the mix, and will give them a great deal of hope. And so we kind of need to be looking to, I guess, spoil their party. Yes. Yeah,
League Two is still wide open. We thought it might even out a little bit more and you'd see kind of defined positions, but it hasn't really yet. And like you say, one win can move you into those playoff positions and right even into the automatic picture almost. And Tranmere are going to, let's face it, look at our side today and be rubbing their hands. They're going to think there's an opportunity there, and it's up to Kenny and Joe Gallen and the rest of the coaching staff to kind of, like you say, try and spoil their day and try and instill a mentality of like, well, we're up against it here and we'll go relish that.
Kenny Jackett versus Mickey Mellon on the sidelines is a nice little fixture as well. But Kenny Jackett has kind of got the better of Mickey Mellon in the past. Let's look at one of their players that you've picked out for us this afternoon, Elliot Nevitt. He's been quite impressive so far this season. Yeah, he's an interesting player because he's 25, but this is his first season in the EFL. He'd been playing non-league football around Merseyside for the majority of his career, really. He's never played professional football before, like we see here, scoring in the FA Fars final where he scored a hat-trick. So that shows the kind of level he was playing at before this season. Tranmere obviously took a chance on him after seeing this, the kind of the performances he was putting in, like we saw here at Wembley, and it's paid dividends almost. He's only got 3 goals, but he's had very limited minutes, and Tranmere fans, by all accounts, have been calling for him to play a little bit more. And he started last weekend away at Exeter. He got the winner. He's starting again today, and he'll be a real interesting player to watch because, like you see with some of these non-league players, you can find real diamonds in there, and it seems like Tranmere might have found one here with Elliot Nevitt. Do I dare call him the Jamie Vardy of Tranmere?
I mean, you could, yeah.
Would I be wrong?
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong today.
I hope not, yeah.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Brendan. Glenn, let's look back at Orient as well. This season has felt a bit like kind of 2 steps forward and 1 step back at times, because we had that Swindon game, which was such a phenomenal second half performance, one of the best that I can personally remember here for quite a number of years, followed by a fairly abject performance against Crawley, which was possibly one of the worst that I remember here for quite a few years. Now that we've had this week that has thrown up all sorts of issues as well for the squad, what do you think that Kenny and Joe will have had to do for the players, overnight as well? Because as we know with COVID, new protocols does mean that disruption in terms of travel, in terms of travelling away, also comes and factors in. Do you think that they'll just kind of try and galvanise the squad and go, look, we actually have been here before. It wasn't like last season where everything was unfamiliar. I know we both spoke to players and they were saying, it's weird because you can't all eat together. You have to, sleep in your own rooms. There's none of that camaraderie that comes with going to away games. What do you think they can do to try and galvanise that squad today? I
think some of them will be thinking, because of what's happened on last Saturday with the performance and the result, part of them will be thinking we need to bounce back today, get a good performance, we need to be solid. And I think part of them also will think, well, because of the depletion of the side and the starting 11 sort of squad as well with the low numbers, some of them might be thinking we've got nothing to lose here, let's go out there and give it a real good crack. It's a real, we don't know, we're not inside the camp, we don't know if they've gone up on 2 coaches like they did last year. I don't know if that was the case, because last year they had to be separated with numbers on coaches, obviously the hotel arrangements, we don't know what's going on, so it is a nuisance. COVID is a nuisance, I think, is an understatement, but it will make an impact today. But you don't know. This is a time where we're not feeling too optimistic, I would say, but this is where Orient sometimes surprise us and come out with something that we're not expecting, And I really, really hope this is today when they produce one of those performances.
Brendan, I want to talk about a couple of players, a couple of players that, in due course, I hope that, as Orient fans, we can be incredibly proud of, because Jaden Sweeney has come back from Wilston, kind of probably as a emergency measure, and gets a chance to start a game today. He hasn't had many starts, but he is a player who's come through the academy, and as we've seen with players like Shad Oji and Dan Happy in recent years, these are the kind of players that you want to hold on to and go, they're one of our own, I suppose.
Yeah, and by all accounts, it sounds like he's done really well at Wealdstone. I think he scored 2 goals, in that time, which is probably not something you associate with his game, but he was clearly someone that Kenny Jackett rates, because he started him earlier in the season up at Carlisle, and it was quite a difficult afternoon for him, but one where kind of away at Carlisle, being thrown in for your first game, you can forgive that. And it's nice to see him get his opportunity, although not in kind of perfect circumstances again. But I think he's a player that shows a lot of composure, is very safe, very kind of steady. He won't put a foot wrong. He'll do the simple things well, and that's the kind of player you want out there today.
I think the good thing with that is he's been out on loan. He's been playing competitive football, men's football, so to speak, and he has done well. He scored a few goals, like Brendan said. He'll come back into the side fresh, but with some experience recently, whereas you've got Young, who comes into the side. Okay, they play games behind closed doors and stuff. It's a different sort of lead up to the game. So I fully expect Sweeney to come in and have a fairly good game today, just because of what he's been doing over the last 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, and then moving on, Brendan, to Matt Young as well, who also gets a chance to start today. I guess in circumstances that you wouldn't particularly want to, feeling like you're being thrown into something as a measure because everything else has kind of fallen around you is not an ideal situation. You probably want to be able to say, oh yeah, I'm playing because I've been promoted up through, and I want to, I'm here purely by merit and not because everything else has gone to pot. But Matt Young is, for me, from what we've seen of him, very nice, very technical player who looks calm on the ball. I think him alongside Craig Clay couldn't ask probably for someone better than Craig Clay to start alongside you in centre midfield. Yeah,
like I said, with Jaden Sweeney, he's a very similar kind of type of player in terms of, again, he'll do the simple things well, he'll keep it ticking over in midfield. A lot like Craig Clay, he'll never be faulted for his effort. And then also a nice thing with Matt Young is that I suspect, even without any further absences, if we had the same squad that was available last Saturday, he might have started today anyway, because Darren Prattley is obviously suspended and Hector Kipriani was injured. So he's been preparing all week with the team. It's not been kind of thrust upon him immediately. He's had a chance to get his head round it. Kenny and Joe Gallen would have told him what they expect of him, and that'll be nice for him. And it's a big opportunity for him today, but one that I think he can handle, because he seems like he's got a really good temperament.
Yeah, and let's move up a little bit further up the pitch, because Glenn, I think so much of this season has been built on the fact that Smith and Drinan score goals for fun for us, and I think we can take some great confidence from the fact that we only played Tranmere a couple of weeks ago, and some of those Tranmere players will still be having nightmares about the fact that Drinan and Smith put them to bed as well.
Yeah, 100%. They've played them, like you say, recently. They've done well against Tranmere. Tranmere will be worried about, and they'll know what our boys' strengths are. So they'll be working on that themselves, saying stop them doing this, stop them doing that. But it's very easy to say and a lot harder to do. If we can get the ball to these guys in the right areas at the right time, I fully expect them to score goals. Okay, last week we had 0 shots on target. Yeah. That proves that we're not getting the ball up to them quick enough and at the right time. So hopefully we can work on that today, and they've been working on it in training, and we get them the ball quick enough, because as long as we don't build up very slowly and give Tranmere time to get behind the ball and then all the spaces close up, we need to play quick when we're going forward, get them the ball early, especially Kempin behind them as well, because you get him the ball, he's always busy looking for that little pass forward. If we can get Kemp the ball, I think it'll be key in him unlocking the door for the other two. Yeah, and then Brendan, we have spoken about that front three there, and then the back three is again, with Omar being out, but Tomo, Dan Happy and Shad Oji looking like
if we think will happen will be that back three. How do you think they might line up as well? Because it's a slightly unfamiliar situation that they find themselves in.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, because we think it will be a back three, and if it is, then I'll be interested to see who lines up on that right-hand side, because Adam Thompson is the natural right footer in there, but he is also the most experienced and the one that played in the middle last weekend against Crawley. So do you stick one of the more inexperienced players who are left-footed either side of him, someone like, obviously it's either going to be Shadoji or Dan Happy with Thompson in the middle commanding, or do you put Dan Happy or Shadoji in the middle with Adam Thompson on the side? It will be interesting to see how that goes, because it can affect your build-up play a little bit, because naturally the left-footed player is going to want to come inside, and sometimes that can cause trouble.
Glenn, a back five potentially, or back three, back five of 4 left-footed players. Absolutely incredible. But I know it sounds a bit silly to be talking about a bench that only features 4 players, but having Paul Smith back on there, and Ruel and Papadopoulos gives us some options if things aren't going our way, in an attacking sense. Let's ignore the fact that we have literally no defenders on the bench, but
Well, substitutions. The thing is, you look at the squad there. You've got, depending on how we set up, Craig Clay can come back. He's experienced enough. If we needed another defender to come in, Craig Clay can do that job. Either go to the right back position and bring someone in. But we've got options. How often do we make more than 3 subs in a game anyway? We don't, do we? So you've got 3 on there. Ruel's the one for me. I think if we're chasing the game and we need that little bit of spark, we know the impacts he can make coming off the bench. He seems to thrive and have a point to prove when he gets on the pitch, when he comes off the bench. And he's somebody who I'd like to see on the pitch at some point today. And I think we probably will see him on the pitch at some point today, because we know he's unpredictable and he scores goals. So I really want him to get on the pitch at some point and show us what he can do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Glenn. Thank you to Brendan as well. And now, our squad might be depleted here in E10, but the A team has made its way up to Prenton Park, so I'm going to hand over to Hiscock. Enjoy the game and come on, you O's.
And welcome to Prenton Park, where Leyton Orient have to do it the hard way. So much has changed since these two sides met early in the month in the FA Cup.